And Bowerline. Mark
Yeah, I'm sure he.
We've got 5 on the screen, so there you are. Okay.
Okay. Come on, Lonnie.
Thank you, everybody. Please take your seats. We're going to. We're now going to start the New College of Florida Board of Trustees meeting, Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. We are starting a little behind because of the public meeting we just conducted. Before we do the roll call, I ask that you rise and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. There. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Ms. Fitzpatrick, can you please call the roll and establish quorum and confirm public notice of meeting?
Trustee Anderson?
Here.
Trustee Baldonado? Trustee Bowerline?
Here.
Trustee Harvey?
Here.
Trustee Karp?
Here.
Trustee Kessler? Trustee Mackey?
Here.
Trustee Patterson?
Here.
Trustee Spalding?
Here.
Chair Jinks?
Here.
Vice Chair Cristaldi?
Here.
Quorum is present and the meeting was publicly noticed.
Okay, thank you. For anybody who wanted to give public comment for the Board of Trustees meeting, you needed to have signed up to do so 48 hours in advance of the meeting, and this is a 1 minute. Please reset the timer. The Board of Trustees public comment period is for 1 minute, not 2. So we'll wait for that to get reset. Thank you. And with that, Ms. Fitzpatrick, can you please call any public speakers who signed up for today?
First up, we have Laura Hampton, followed by John O'Miller, and then Juliana Parv.
Okay, and today's comments should be directed to items on our agenda for the Board of Trustees meeting. Thank you.
All right. Hello, trustees. My name is Laura Hampton. I'm a 2009 graduate of New College, and I address you today on behalf of the Novo Collegiate Alliance. An important part of New College's mission is being a residential college, which requires that students live on campus. But right now, less than 50% of your students live on true on-campus housing. The hotels and USF dorms are not on campus, they're off campus. You have a severe lack of on-campus housing and have had this problem for 2.5 years under President Corcoran. But to date, he hasn't brought to this board any plan to build more on-campus housing. Instead, he brought to you today a proposal to move $2.5 million from housing reserves to fund a baseball field. Students need to live on campus more than they need a baseball field. So we strongly urge you to vote no on this $2.5 million transfer until you have approved and bonded new on-campus housing. Thank you.
Next up, John O'Miller.
John O'Miller for NCF Freedom. I'm speaking about high impact practices, metric 8B. Administration is proposing to switch from 3+ high impact practices to only internships. This reduces the number of high impact practices to only 1, internships. Previously, the college was setting a goal of involving students in 3 high impact practices, including capstone courses and projects, first-year seminars and experiences, internships, undergraduate research, and writing intensive courses. Now the college is lowering its sights, committing to only 1, which is sad for an honors college. Generally, universities choose a metric that they are guaranteed to receive 10 points for. I'm not sure why we're going with internships when the 23-24 accountability plan showed New College only scored 5 points for internships alone. Thank you.
And I believe we had one more speaker that's online, Juliana.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Juliana Murray. You just heard me speak in the previous hearing. I'm an alum and faculty member at another institution and understand the importance, therefore, of student engagement in processes, for example, those that were just spoken about by the previous 2 speakers and referenced in the problematic that this trustee meeting is being held, the first of this academic year, after students have already left. One has to ask oneself why, at an institution where, in the final analysis, students are responsible for their own education, the trustees and leadership are choosing to hold events which are central to their education at a time when students are unable to participate in substantive ways. This is the first time that you've allowed us to join and give comment over Zoom. It was deeply unclear that this was allowed. Please make sure students know in the future that they can participate in this way. Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you. Okay. For the Board of Trustees meeting? Do we have?
I received an email yesterday.
That's fine.
Saying that you registered.
Go ahead. About the agenda that's before the Board of Trustees at this current meeting. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm speaking today about process, oversight, and public accountability, not the substance of the master plan. As trustees, I believe your responsibility is not only to approve outcomes, but to ensure that the process leading to those outcomes is fair, transparent, and defensible. This raises an oversight question, a basic oversight question. How is meaningful public participation possible if the public cannot be sure which document governs the decision? We were told that the public may comment on a redlined version, but the board is voting on a clean version. They are not identical. I would also ask, how does the board verify that public notice was adequate and timely, confirm that materials were released early enough for review, and ensure that public comments are actually read, evaluated, and reflected in the record before a vote? Accountability is breaking down. I urge the board to clearly state which version is there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. At this point, we're going to move into the consent agenda. I would ask for a motion for approval of the items on the consent agenda. Everything was sent out to you, the action items and the informational items with your packets. So
Move to approve the consent agenda.
thank you, Trustee Carp made a motion, and a second was by Trustee Spalding. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's see. I'm sorry.
Discussion.
Yeah.
I would like to pull some items from the consent agenda. Would I do that after this?
Okay. Yep. Go ahead.
Yes, you do it now.
Do it now, and just be as clear as you can on what you're pulling off.
I'd like to pull the proposed amendment to regulation 3.2, tuition and fees.
Hang on.
Finance
Okay.
and Administration Committee.
Okay.
Proposed amendment to regulation 3.5, tuition and fees.
Yes.
Approval of auxiliary transfer request and approval of lease agreement.
Okay, those three items?
Yes, yeah.
All right, so do we need to amend the motion or just we'll consent agenda?
Why don't you open that up for a new motion on the consent agenda minus those
Okay.
items?
So I need a new motion, hang on the consent agenda, less three items, the proposed amendment to Regulation 3-1002, tuition and fees, less the approval of auxiliary transfer request for new college athletics capital project, and less the approval of lease agreement. Can we have that amended motion, please?
Sure, accept the amendment.
Okay, is there a second to
Second.
who did it, Mr. Trustee Cristaldi? All right, let's take a vote. All in favor of the consent agenda motion as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Like sign, no? Okay, so now I would need a motion to approve the proposed amendment to Regulation 3-1002, tuition and fees. Can I have such a motion?
And Madam Chair, Mr. Galvano, that came as a recommendation from the Finance and Administration Committee. So, Mr. Galvano, what's the proper procedure to?
It only needs a single motion.
Okay. I'm the chair of that committee, but if it's appropriate for me to move so, I'll move so.
Okay, so you move to approve. All right, and I need a second?
No.
Nope,
No
okay.
second.
Just need a vote.
Discussion.
Any questions or discussion? She hasn't raised her hand. Okay, there you go.
I had some follow-up questions from last week's discussion on this item.
All right. Can you get a little closer to your microphone? There you go.
Am I heard better?
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. Make sure we hear you.
I wanted to ask, what percent of current students would fall under the out-of-state tuition? And to confirm that includes out-of-state, non-resident, or out-of-state students and non-resident international students?
Who wants this?
Trustee Baldonado, if you recall from the committee, it only applies prospectively to the new out-of-state students. And so we don't have that number yet. But if we were to give a estimate, it would probably be in that 20% range. This doesn't apply to anybody at the school. Even if you're a first year and you're out of state, you're not subject to the increase. It's only for new students coming to the university who are not here yet.
What would the number be, number of students be if this were in effect right now?
A guesstimate would be somewhere in the ballpark of 100 to 200.
And I did want to revisit my other question, because the answer wasn't very clear to me. Does raising the out-of-state tuition go against the tuition freeze component of that Trump compact for higher education that New College said it would sign?
No, we do not believe so.
And can I confirm that we're able to, are we able to raise the tuition by a smaller percentage than the, I'm sorry, was it 15 or 10%?
15%. And yes, you could do less. The problem we have with this is the Board of Governors, since we're not in compliant with covering the cost of our out-of-state students with the tuition we receive from them, has asked us and 2 other universities to raise our tuition, and the max you can raise it is 15%. So we're doing this to be in compliance with the request from the Board of Governors.
Would a lower percentage still be?
No, even with the 15%, we're still not close to covering the costs. So we might have to go to the legislature and ask the legislature for help and maybe giving us some sort of waiver since we're a small liberal arts school.
Any other discussion on the pending motion that's been made? Yes, Dr. Harvey? Trustee Harvey?
I'd like to echo Trustee Maldonado's concerns and just add my own concern to this, which is, our strategic plan says we want to be the best liberal arts college in the country, and that means attracting the best students from across the country, not just the state of Florida. So I am concerned that the increase in tuition, particularly if the 15% is just the first step to a larger multi-year increase, would have a deterrent effect and would hurt our ability to recruit the best students. So just want to state that concern and also raise again a question I asked in the committee, which is, if we have to raise the nominal sticker price for out-of-state students, can we make that up with additional financial aid? Because I really would not want to see us do anything that would limit our ability to attract the best students from across the country.
We agree with you, both you and Trustee Baldonado, Dr. Harvey, and if you go back and look at the Board of Governors meetings, both the provost in his meetings, myself and Chair Jenks at the full board meeting, give constant, as best we can argue, defenses for your arguments that this is really something. If you look at any great liberal arts school, they probably stand at an average of 70% out of state. The reason that they do it is because they really don't want to displace students, and that's really true of a Florida State or a Florida, where you have a parent who's been here for 18 years of the child's life. They have a 1350 and a 4.0, and they're not getting into University of Florida, but there's reports of students with comparable scores from Mississippi getting in. And so that's where the 10% system-wide cap came for out-of-state students. And we're going to continue to go to the legislature, argue at the BOG, and try to get some sort of exemption. I think it also applies to one of the other 12 universities, is FAMU, which is an HBCU, and they do also national recruitment. And so I don't think New College or FAMU should necessarily be in the same swath of the big universities. And we're clearly, and I assure them all the time, we are not displacing Florida students. We're simply have spots where we could go out and get these excellent out-of-state students. And as we said at the Board of Governors, we have many great alumni, but one of our significant alumnus is Mark Familio. He came from Philadelphia. And what happens is they come, they have a great experience, they stay, and they become very successful developers and entrepreneurs in the Sarasota region. And so we'd like to see that to continue to happen. We'll do all we can, but at this point, we're going to have to go and get some sort of statutory exemption from the legislature.
I was just going to add, Trustee Harvey, for the benefit of the other board members who are not on the committee, we talked a little bit about, there was a question raised as to whether the university could discount for particular students, and I think the advice we got was that that probably isn't possible, but we talked a little bit about asking our foundation to be in tune with this and be able to raise money so that we can give scholarships, because bringing the highest quality students to this institution is really of paramount importance to us, and we want to continue to be competitive in doing that.
Any other discussion, or Trustee Baldonado, is your hand up again? Okay.
If I could follow up, please. I remember asking this at the committee meeting about what regulation we're not in compliance with, and I don't recall getting a response on that. Could maybe legal speak to what regulation with regards to the tuition fee that we're not compliant with?
Yeah, you want to give the actual?
Sure. You'll see him in a moment. Thank you, Mr. Brickhouse. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Trustee Baldonado, I believe it's 1009.24. I will confirm that in just a second. I'll email you the statute that has the out-of-state cost requirement for the out-of-state tuition fee to cover that cost component.
Thank you. Does that prescribe a certain percentage for us that we do to increase the tuition?
No, Trustee. As the President said, the requirement under the statute is that the out-of-state tuition cover the full instructional cost of out-of-state students. And so the Board of Governors has requested that we provide the maximum increase of 15%, which still would not meet that statutory requirement of the cost component. But that's what they've asked us to do as an immediate step, along with 2 other universities.
I'm sorry, is that documentation from the Board of Governors included in the meeting materials?
No, Trustee. That was a lengthy discussion at one of the Board of Governors meetings earlier this year.
Thank you.
Okay, any other hands up? I don't. Trustee Harvey, is that, I recognize you.
That's correct, Trustee.
Okay, thank you.
Just to be, it's not a quid pro quo.
Madam Chair, if I
Yeah.
might just.
Yes.
Trustee
Vice
Baldonado
Chair.
asked
Cristaldi?
when that was discussed. Trustee Baldonado, I believe that it was discussed at the June 18, 2025 Board of Governors meeting. And I'm sure there's a record of that meeting if you choose to look at it.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're good. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Nay? Did you get that, Ms.
I did.
Patrick? Okay. All right, motion carries. I'm going to ask Vice Chair Cristaldi, who chairs the Finance and Administration Committee meeting, to make the motion to approval of the auxiliary transfer request, New College Athletics Capital Project. Can you make that motion?
So moved.
Okay, and I don't need a second? So any discussion? Kyla, yes, Ms. Baldonado, I see your hand up.
Yes, I did want to come back to this discussion because it's a lot of money that we're taking away from the housing auxiliary, and something like this I think should absolutely be discussed by the board before voting on this. I did want to start by revisiting a question I had last week. Could this 2.5 million be used towards building the dorms?
So if I could give a little.
Yeah, please give the background. We'll have the
President Corcoran can ultimately answer that question, but I wanted to give a little bit of background for the benefit of the other board members, trustee members who are not on the committee. As I understood this particular item, one primary use of the reserve funds is to meet the bonding requirement capacity. So these funds are not actually used to build our housing, but we issue tax-exempt bond financing to build our housing. And we have diverted is not the right word, but we have contributed funds to this account over the past few years and now have more in the account than we need. So there's a question of redeploying those dollars in the best interests of the students here. My understanding is that the redeployment of these dollars will not impact our bonding capacity and ability to build housing, and does not change the housing plans for the university, and will not impact actual student housing. So it's essentially surplus funds that we have to reallocate and think for highest and best use of. Mr. President, is that a fair characterization?
Yeah, and just as a background too, basically 2.5 years, the history of the college, I'd have to go back, I haven't looked at every year, but I don't think the reserves ever got much over $1 million, historically, 63 years. What we were able to do was build it up to the amount that you see it today, and the Board of Governors and other universities do this with great regularity. You're allowed to use some of those funds with their approval and trustee approval for the purposes that we have here in the packet, which is the baseball field. And it doesn't affect our bonding, it doesn't affect our housing. All of that is you know, we're in fantastic position. That's based on the growth in the university. Now that we're up to 922 students, we have banks and bonders knocking on our doors so I think we're going to be able to get a great deal as we move forward and build these houses on 58, the first one's on 58th Street. But could we use the money for the purpose of that? Could we say, yeah, we'll put a down payment or something on one of these bank loans or bonds? We could, but it's not necessary. And what's necessary is to continue to grow students and grow that money that allows us to get to the 1,200, which is the pressure we're under with the Board of Governors and the legislature and the governor. And so this is an opportunity to grow students, take those funds, build the field, and we can continue to have a robust university, and it has zero impact on timing or cost of our housing.
I'm sorry, President Crooked, I'm confused what you mean by it's not necessary that we use this money towards the dorms, because there has been a housing crisis here for the past few years, and the board hasn't the board has not really voted or been presented anything tangible with regards to building the dorms at this time, and we still don't have Google staff dorms either. So it's a bit confusing move money to a baseball field when you're still in a housing crisis, and that money could go towards something else.
We agree, and it won't, again, what we're doing has zero impact on timing or the capacity that we intend to build for housing at the college.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just so the record's clear, my understanding is that there's no diversion of housing funding
Correct.
that would be used for housing for any kind of sports complex facility. It's been represented to us by our administration, and I take that at face value that we are going full steam ahead with our plans as it relates to student housing, and we're not going to impact or slow down student housing by taking this vote.
Zero.
Thank you.
Ms. Baldonado, I see your hand still up. Trustee Harvey, your hand's up.
Yes, just a question to President Corcoran, since we have on the master plan document various new dorms. So there's I guess one complex designated around 58th Street that I guess we need to secure approval from the county or the city to change the zoning, and then there's another cluster around Dorr Promenade, around where the multi-device building would be situated. Can you give us a sense which, I guess, sort of what the time horizon on getting approval, getting it bonded, getting it built would be, and which dorms we want to go for first? Because I hear what everybody's saying, and I understand that, but I also just want to second Trustee Maldonado that it has been, the lack of housing has been an issue for students, so we want to get that addressed as soon as we can.
Yeah, agreed. And you guys know, I mean, you've been here the whole time. We've all been here. The reason for the housing shortage is because the inadequate maintenance of almost 300 beds in the Pay buildings that have been shuttered for 2.5 years and were caused long before any of us got here. Yeah, we'll be able to move. That's why the master plan's on the agenda today for your approval. It'll go through, and that really affects the Dort housing near the Rice building. The 58th Street's in the existing master plan, so we just got to get city approval for that. And they're individual houses, so we feel we're well positioned, and hopefully by the end of the first quarter we'll have approval, and somewhere before, right around the beginning of summer, we could break ground on those, and they would be ready at the earliest the fall of 27, probably January of 28. And that would be another 130 beds. We're also in the budget, as you guys have probably read, with the governor's support for USF. That would give us another, give or take, 50 beds. So there probably a day doesn't go by where the entire leadership of the university isn't looking for beds. But obviously the hotels are very costly. It's, we divert $6 million for the hotels, and we'd like to get out of that arrangement as quickly as possible.
Thank you for that background information.
Trustee Kessler, I see your hand is up.
Yes. I believe one of the public questioners asked about where the baseball field was going to be built. And what is the location of the new stadium going to be?
It's principally the construction part of the field is in land that's already owned by the university, which is if you recall, Trustee Kessler, if you come out of the airport, turn right that's University Avenue, and then you get to a light and you turn right. It's that corner right there is where the baseball field. It's where the old car museum, if you recall, was. We've torn down the car museum, and that's where we would construct the structural part of the baseball field.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from trustees? Ms. Baldonado, your hand is up. I can't tell.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I really feel uncomfortable making this vote while we don't have anything. Like, as far as the board is concerned, we don't have a concrete timeline. We haven't voted to finance any dorms. And again, the USF transfer is still up in the air. It feels very, honestly, irresponsible to move money when we're still not in a position, I feel like, to be giving up that
that was Trustee Baldonado was just saying to Trustee Harvey about the 58th Street housing, and he was talking. He's correct that we'll need, because it's already in the existing master plan, but we'll have to get city approval for that, and then the timeline on that is probably by completion. It would be fall of 27 to more likely January of 28, and that's the 130 beds. If the legislation passes on USF, that would give us about 50 more beds. That timeline would be probably end of March when the session's over, but they could also extend like they did last year and go longer all the way into July. But hopefully we'd have that available to us for the fall of 26. And then the units that would be close to the Rice building, those would probably be a year after that. And that's contingent on our growth. I mean, even the $2.5 million wouldn't even help us improve 50 beds in one of the pays. I mean, the cost we got to reform the pays, we're told they're not reformable or capable to be rehabilitated, and the numbers they were giving us were $100,000 a bed. I can assure you the BOG and the legislature would not allow us to do that for 1 second. So we're trying to use the dollars that we have as effectively as we can to continue that growth and not slow down housing one iota.
I would hate to see things for housing fall through and then see students be waitlisted, put in hotels again. And so I'm wondering, can we not wait until after the end of the legislative session and see if we have reforms by the end of this year?
Madam Chair, I just, again, want to clarify to make sure my fellow trustees are clear. My understanding of the way housing for students is funded is through issuing debt through tax-exempt bonds that's secured by the revenue that the students pay for the housing. Right. So there's no significant material amount that we have in a bank account now that would be used to construct student housing buildings. We would go out and borrow the money, which is how I think most, if not all, other universities do it, and fund it through that. So again, Trustee Baldonado, I just want to make sure you understand that I think your concerns are extremely valid as they relate to moving quickly on it, but the vote we're taking today should not impact the timing or the ability to fund student housing.
Thank you, Trustee Cristaldi. Seeing no more debate, I'd like to take a vote on the pending motions.
Oh, my God.
Trustee Spalding. Oh, Trustee Spalding, I'm sorry.
I just want to make a brief general comment. The whole conversation, I want to just make 2 points. One is deferred maintenance. I mean, remember when we came in, the housing problem was this school was essentially dead in the water and dying quickly. It was sinking. So our responsibility is get it back up, fix all that housing, and move forward as rapidly as responsible as we can. But we need to do it in line with our longer-term ideas of growth in a master plan. So I mean, I've been involved in building and maintenance and facility in colleges. It's very complicated. I've been involved in that for many years at other institutions. And I would just like to strongly state that from what I can tell here, we're doing this in a very responsible way. I don't see any way in which this is somehow deferring what that responsibility is. So I strongly suggest we move forward with this.
Thank you, Trustee Spalding. Okay, so seeing no more debate, can we have a vote, please, on the motion that was made by Vice Chair Cristaldi? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. All right. Any opposed? Is that a no, you're not opposed, or you're opposed? Okay. All right. Thank you. And then the last item that has been pulled from the consent agenda under Finance and Administration, I would ask Vice Chair Cristaldi to make a motion for approval of the lease agreement that your committee presented to its members last week.
Yes, Madam Chair, I would move that we adopt the recommendation of the Finance and Administration Committee as it relates to the lease agreement as presented in the packet.
Okay. There's been a motion, and is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, I can just give a little
Sure.
bit of context.
Go ahead.
My understanding is this is a lease that would be entered into for two buildings that would be utilized on campus. We did, at the committee, ask questions as it related to the need and use for that, and management satisfied our questions as it related to the current need of the university for those buildings, and we asked a question specifically about the rent and whether it was tested as to fair market value. We understood that it was, that there was some diligence done in that regard as well. And it came with a unanimous vote from the committee. Mr. President, you might be able to talk a little bit about the intended uses in the buildings themselves.
We're going through that now. I mean, there's two elements. One is we're just always constantly right now struggling for space and trying to grab space wherever we can. And so those were two fully functional, fully in good shape, completely renovated and fixed up beautiful houses on 58th Street. The second part of that is 58th Street is within in essence, the university's property line. And so ultimately, these two leases with an option to buy would give us all but 3 houses on 58th Street. One of them is if you guys recall, the completely almost caved in house that's currently owned by the diocese. And we are working with them on trying to get that one too. And that would just leave 2 houses left. And that's where we would build those individual houses, much like the letter dorms we have on the other side along that road. And it would really solidify the beautification and the efficacy for students and their proximity to our classrooms moving forward. So it's a great opportunity for us. I think one went up for sale for, Christy could probably correct me, but about 1.2 or 1.3 million. The other one went up for sale for almost $900,000, so it was over $2 million. This is an opportunity for us to enter into this lease agreement, immediately have the space available to us. We could use it for faculty offices. We could use it for multiple different purposes. Trustee Cristaldi, we haven't fully landed on that as of today, but and we're hiring an additional, give or take, 10 professors. So there's just always space needs, lab needs, what have you, and it gives us a great opportunity to have that. But I think it's probably $600,000-$700,000 below listing, and we did the market value, and so it's a great opportunity for the college.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Madam Chair, we did also confirm at the meeting with Mr. Brickhouse that it's received, the lease that's in the packet received legal review, and Mr. Brickhouse has signed off on it.
Yes, it did.
Thank you, sir.
It's in compliance.
Okay, is there any discussion on this item? Ms. Baldonado, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you. How many offices would open up with these houses?
We've done, I don't know if you've ever been in the Mighty Banyan House. That's the house that we currently have that is fully functional also and in great condition on 58th Street. I don't know what it was used for. It was acquired before we got the new board. I think it's been used for everything since we've been here. We've used it for housing. We've used it for different office spaces, and it's currently used for by communications. And so each bedroom normally is at least one office. We'd normally put cubicles or tri-cubicles in the living room area. So it really depends. It could be as much as 10 offices in each one of the houses. There's also the opportunity to take one house has a huge patio. So between the patio and the living area, that could be a classroom space. So we're evaluating all those things, but it's a significant space addition for the university.
And then I did want to ask how much will we, is there an estimate of how much we might need to invest to turn the houses into office spaces that faculty and staff could use?
They're both in pristine condition. So we currently, the answer is 0. If we did want to maybe make one a classroom space, it's just taking an existing wall and moving it about 8 feet out, which would be a de minimis cost, and facilities already estimated it to be de minimis amount.
And my last question is there a reason we're leasing these houses and not just buying them? Do we have the money to make those purchases right now?
Fiscally, it's the soundest thing for us to do. And otherwise, we'd have to pay cash out of the foundation, which would be about $1.5 million. And we don't want to do that. We've grown our endowment from $39 million in the 22 end of year to we're well over $51 million in the endowment, which is an astronomical growth. It's pushing 40% growth in 3 years.
We can raise money.
Yes.
Okay, seeing no other hands raised or discussion, all those in favor of approval of the lease agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? I don't see any opposed. Okay, motion's carried, thank you. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to President Corcoran for his report.
Thanks. I'll try to be brief. The gross students, so far, it's really early for us to even tell. If you look at the 10-year history, normally about this time, we have about 10 admitted students on average, sometimes less, sometimes a couple more, but it's a small amount. The bulk of our admissions come in the first 3 months of the new year, so we'll get a more accurate number at the February board meeting. But suffice it to say, we're pushing 50 enrolled students. So could we say that we're up 400%? Yes, but how does that play itself out between now and February? Just suffice it to say it's exciting. They're starting to get real, and we're up in applications. All of the things you'd want to see, our SAT scores are up, ACT scores up on those that have been enrolled. So all of those things are looking good, but we'll have a really accurate representation for you probably at the February meeting. The growing money, obviously I think I sent out to all you guys, we had just the governor's budget. Don't forget, this year in an election year, they moved the legislative season up. So instead of it being basically March, April, and May, now it's January, February, March. And so his budget had to come out about a week ago. It came out, and as I texted or emailed you guys, we have he has language in there for the USF campus, which is significant, and to Trustee Baldonado's, that's exciting because it's move-in ready. Whether we get these houses for faculty offices or whatever that we're working on, or we're trying to do the hotel or whatever, or on housing, all these innovative things as quickly as we can. That one really solves a lot of problems. It's a massive 100,000 plus square foot offices, classroom space, and then the 200-bed dormitory, which would give us only about 50 or less more because we're already in 155 beds. Regardless, it's just immediate turnkey if it works out. But that's going to go through the legislative process. His budget is a recommendation, but obviously he's been a tremendous advocate for New College and what's going on here, so we feel pretty good about that. He also gave us $25 million more in recurring money, which is just game changer. A lot of the money we've been getting, which is significant, is non-recurring. What we really would like to do is get that recurring money, and it gives us tremendous flexibility to do things for the next 5 to 10 years. And then the final one is the second tranche of money for the Rice building, which would be the marquee building on the campus. I think someone commented that they didn't like the Rice building. Renderings that we've done so far calling it Rice building, all of that's those are just like draft visions. They're not necessarily what would actually take place there. The concept, though, of it being where there's a archway that would match the archway at Bayshore Road, and then you'd still be able to see all the way down the Dort walkway to College Halls. That still will be a key component of it. But that we got a second tranche of that, which was $30+ million. So now we got to go work the legislature and see how that goes. But just unheard of numbers. It's the best governor's budget rec we've ever had. Then on the foundation side, on Monday we received another $1 million donation. I think it's our third $1 million in less than 12 months. Individual $1 million contributions, which I think they're all in the top 10 ever in the history of the college. And tomorrow we'll announce another one. So it's really going well at the foundation too. It allows us to continue to build that endowment up and continue to have all those opportunities, increasing the student research grants, all of those things that are just great for the university. And so that's going well. In addition to that, we've become very aggressive with our grants office. We've gotten about our current grant amount that we've already just received sits in the ballpark of about $3 million. So those are in the bank in the last probably 4 months, and we just turned in an additional over $10 million worth of grants, and almost 9 plus of it to the federal grants. And we feel like we should be positioned at the front of the line given our statements regarding the compact. So we'll keep you posted on those, but obviously if those grants come through and the existing grants, it's just it's probably 10 years worth of grants in just a calendar period versus previous years. So that's going fantastic too. Faculty hiring's going well. We've had a couple of the faculty searches on campus and doing interviews. I'd say we'll probably be in the ballpark of about 10 people, 10 new faculty members. We'll keep you posted on that. But again, the quality and of the applicants is just as strong as ever, and we're going through that whole process. And then the projects, I just talking to, actually it was one of the friends of one of the Uplands neighbors, was visiting his sister, and he was giving me a hard time about, because I don't get invited to a lot of Christmas parties at the Uplands, but he was joking with his sister there, who is a very nice lady, saying, what side do we sit on? Do we sit on this side or that side? And this side was completely empty. There's no, and I said, that's the pro side, like for the master plan, and that's the anti side. And I said, I'm guessing you have to go over there. And but he said to his sister and me, he said, I'm just going to tell you, I told her, I'm with my sister, but I was driving around this campus. I've used to visit this place 10, 9, every, years ago. He goes, I can't even recognize the place. It's absolutely amazing what you guys are doing here. And so, a little bit of my hyperbole, but it's, you just see, now we've cleaned out the entire corner. When you guys come back down, you'll see the beautification's just fantastic. And every dorm on this campus, every single one, I'm talking about ceilings, stucco, cabinetry, restrooms, flooring, outside stucco, outside painting. Every single dorm has been, because it's about growing students. If I was a parent, which I am, and I bought my student or my child here, and I went through the dorms that were, I would think there's no way I'm sending my student here. And so we had to do all of that deferred maintenance that Trustee Spalding was talking about, because it was about recruiting students. We're not going to get a great student to come here when the facilities are completely run down, when our food service is highly criticized by our students. So we've spent tens of millions of dollars in that deferred maintenance, and everything has been revamped. Those are good, significant, but not the most important factors is our great education that we afford, our great faculty and a great culture, and our great curriculum. That'll always be the gold or the core. But all those things around it are helping us get more students enrolled and increase our retention efforts and keeping kids here. And so on every metric, I just got back from Tallahassee. I just got back from the East Coast, meeting with some legislators and the governor, and all of the metrics are up. The enrollment's up, the scores are up, the endowment's up, the campus is up. Everything that you'd want to measure us on is up. And I think this is going to be, I was talking to the Director of Admissions, Dr. Rancourt, and I think we're about to be, this year could be really, really both legislatively, financially, and in student recruitment and quality, just a fantastic year. And so very bullish on where we're at and where we're headed. Thank you.
Questions? Pretty good? Okay, thank you, President Corcoran. Trustees, I just want to remind you that in July of this year, we did have the initial public meeting on the 2025 campus master plan, and then today we had the update, as you saw, that the plan was reviewed, and we got comments back from those interests that regulate us, and you've heard from our council and from our architect.
And to be clear, it's the master plan update.
It's
so
yes.
In July, we were still looking at the update.
So today, now, I'm here to ask for someone to make a motion to approve the 2025 Campus Master Plan update, and that's the update that we heard today. So can I have a motion on that, please?
Move to approve the update.
Thank you, Trustee Carp. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Spalding. Okay, any comments, discussion? Trustees, questions? Anybody else on the screen? Trustee Baldonado, I see your hand is raised.
Yes, thank you. I know there was a lot of work put into the master plan process, but we also did receive plenty of comments and concerns from the community of people who care about the college. And so I intend today to, revisit some of those questions that we've received today. So you'll hear a lot from me in this meeting. But before I go into any of my questions, I did want to quickly say that this master plan process is an important moment for the college and for our board to connect with our neighbors and the people in our community and do our due diligence to discuss the questions that people have brought forward to us so that all stakeholders know that they were heard and that our board shows that we're being transparent with our decisions. And so with that, I did want to ask quickly, maybe for legal, I wanted to ask if the board votes on any changes to the master plan today, can we do that in the meeting, and what would that process be?
I understand the question.
Once again, William Clegg with the firm of Grimes Galvano. It's the board's prerogative whether to approve the master plan that is in front of you today, or the update to the master plan, or to discuss making changes to it. I cannot answer whether those could be changes that could be made at the meeting or would require going back and working on them and bringing them back to you, because it would depend on what you're talking about, and we would have to run that past Mr. Darling in terms of, you know, what can be changed just by penning something here or there, or what requires going back and doing some work and bringing it back. So it's really, at this point, in the hands of the board in terms of how you want to proceed with it.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
while Mr. Clegg is at the podium, is it okay if I ask a few
Sure.
questions? First, Mr. Clegg, thank you for a fantastic presentation earlier. Appreciate all the time and effort you and your colleagues put into the plan. I also want to acknowledge the public commenters earlier in our master planning public hearing meeting. I appreciate citizens and friends of this university coming here to express their opinions, and it's important for us trustees to have that input from the community, and so I value your time and I appreciate you coming. Mr. Clegg, there are a couple of things that I heard in public comment I just wanted to clarify. There was some assertions that there were elements of the master plan as presented that were non-compliant with legal requirements. Are you aware of any provision or part of the master plan as presented that we're voting on that's not compliant with a legal requirement?
Trustee Cristaldi, we've both been practicing law for a while, and the answer to that is, in my opinion, we are in full compliance with the legal standards under Florida statutes, both procedurally and substantively, for the adoption of this 2025 Campus Master Plan update. I respect that other people may have different opinions, but that's my legal opinion, and that's the legal advice of my firm to the college.
Thank you. There were some other comments that related to certain agreements, or I think was a reference to a memorandum of understanding that the plan might be out of compliance with. Are there any written obligations, contracts, or memorandums of understanding that are still in effect that we would be violating by entering into the master plan?
Well, the simple answer to that is no, because the standard for the adoption of the master plan, or the update to the master plan, is that it has to comply with the local and state comprehensive plans. You could have any number of agreements with other parties that, suppose you, and I'm not saying you are and would be in violation of one, but if you were, that doesn't prevent you from adopting a master plan and then going and addressing something and changing it. And that's what I meant by it's a fluid document, a long-range planning document that allows for flexibility and reflects that circumstances can change. But focusing specifically on the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding with USF. To my knowledge, USF has never asserted that any of the things that have currently happened on that Uplands property have violated that agreement. And that is really in their hands. They are the only party that would have standing to do that, in my opinion. And again, that's the advice of my firm. We looked at this when we first started working on this, and the problem with the term passive recreation is when you go from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, it means different things. It's a little bit of an eye of the beholder type of standard. It's an adjective. So what we decided to do instead, and we thought that would be more transparent, is to say, all right, let's just state in the update, here's what's going to happen. Here's what's actually going to happen on that property, rather than trying to capture it with an adjective that has been interpreted different ways by different planning departments in different jurisdictions. And that's why we took that approach. We felt that was a more transparent way of addressing the use of that property. I've heard a number of assertions, too, that the original donation of the property came with this restriction on it. I've never seen that. Now, that's, you know, you can't prove a negative, and I don't want to say it doesn't exist, but we scrubbed it, and we could not find any evidence that that restriction that has been asserted actually burdens that property. From my standpoint, it looks like that's an agreement that USF and New College made when they were splitting at a time when they were sharing the use of that property. And I'm not honestly sure that's still even in effect, given that we haven't seen that relationship between the two campuses in some years. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, fully does. Thank you. That's extremely helpful. I appreciate it, Mr. Clegg. No further question.
Thank you. I see hands up on the screen, but Trustee Bauer, you're good?
No.
Okay. So Trustee Spalding, it looked like you had your hand up. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, if I could actually, I was going to go down the same route that the Vice Chairman did. I had a couple of questions as well to continue on his. Am I correct in your first presentation, which is very good, and I thank both of you for that, the various comments and responses you outlined to us, those are all incorporated into the plan we will be voting on. Is that correct?
That is correct. And Mr. Darling, do you want, and Mr. Darling can confirm that as well.
And then to make again, following on Mr. Cristaldi's questions, a particular question that came up under question, which I'd like to have a clear answer on, is there was some reference to being in violation of some Board of Governors rules and regulations. Or as far as you're aware, is this consistent with BOG rules and regulations? Is there any problems there?
In my opinion, yes, it is consistent with those regulations. And I said at the outset, there is a standard when you adopt a new master plan starting from scratch, where you have to, there's a lot of things you would have to do if that's what you were doing that are addressed in those regulations, but that's not what's happening here. What we're doing is updating our existing plan, and there's plenty of precedent around the state that can, the statute itself says that frequently involves changes in use, density, and intensity, changes in open space. I mean, it's right there in the statute, and there's a vast record of decisions of other universities doing exactly the same thing that we're doing now in the update process.
And then also there was a reference to this being in violation of some donor intent. I'm not precisely sure that was what that was a reference to, but that's something that always raises concerns in my mind because of our fiduciary interest. Are you aware of anything that this master plan does in violating or disregarding any donor intent to the college?
No, sir. Nothing that I've seen.
Great, thank you. The only general comment I would want to make, and you made this point before and you just made it again, which I'd like to underscore. I don't know that I wouldn't necessarily use this term, this is a fluid or living document. I tend to not like it. But in general, you're absolutely right. It's a plan, and it's a multi-year plan that looks farther out into the future. You also noted that a plan can
make plans dealing with something we don't currently control or might be looking at. I mean, this is aspirational in terms of what we want to create here. I mean, so I understand and respect that there are a number of people here that don't agree with what we're doing overall. This board has been doing since day one. But in terms of building a plan to save this college, it seems to me that, you know, this is the kind of master plan we need to really grow and address many of its deep and underlying problems. So, and it doesn't strike me as anything here that's fundamentally different than anything we've been talking about for some time. So I don't see this to be a problematic change or new direction. This is very consistent with everything we've discussed thus far. And I think it's very consistent with our plans to not only get out of the deferred maintenance problems and build new dorms, but also build this into the campus, which I think the state of Florida and the people of Florida and the governor has authorized us to oversee. So I thank you for the presentation as well.
Thank you, Trustee Spalding. Trustee Kessler, I see you've had your hand up. Okay. We can't hear you. There you go.
2 points.
Thank you.
One is that it's difficult to digest a document as long and complicated as this one in the space of a week and a half or so. And I would like to see a promise or at least a commitment to, in the future, get these long documents, contracts, arrangements that especially anything over 100 pages, I think, should really get to us in 2 weeks or even a month before the meeting in order to give us time to do our due diligence. And I know it's inconvenient to do that, of course, for the administration, but then the administration is working for us, and we should, I think, demand that if that's necessary for our own function. Secondly, I wanted to come back to the question I asked earlier about our relations with the airport. The president, I think, mentioned that he might say something about that, or maybe it was someone speaking for him, that he would address that in his remarks, but I don't think he got to that. And I wonder if we could now have a report on where we are with the airport and what our future relation is going to be.
Yeah, I apologize, Trustee Kessler, I completely forgot. On the first point, though, the document that's before you, that's 150 pages, has been before you for over 90 days. The parts that we went over verbatim were the changes from that document that's been in existence. Am I correct to say over 90 days, Bill?
Yes, from the first public hearing. And
right.
If
and
I
then,
may, there was some talk about what is the difference between the red line document that's in the agenda and the clean. The red line is simply a visual guide for the board and the public that identifies what's changed from the document that was originally presented and back at the first public hearing.
And we went through that verbatim, so just to be very, very clear that these are the changes in that document.
And if you don't do that, I've been through a lot of these hearings in my career, and if you don't do that, then the complaint, and it's a valid one, is it's a very long document, but we don't know exactly what's changed in it. So that's why that additional review aid of a red line is in the agenda package, so that it specifically has a narrative that explains here's what changed from the last one. It's a big document, so it makes it a lot easier for people to navigate it without having to reread the entire couple of 100 pages to figure out on their own what changed from the last document. That's the only purpose to it.
But having said that, Trustee Kessler, we really are working to try to get any lengthy documents through committee and then well in advance of the board meetings now that we have more time to do so. On the airport, basically the history of that is that the head of the airport and their board reached out to numerous presidents over probably a decade or more to try to resolve the long-term lease to the benefit of the airport and the benefit of the school. As you know, he reached out to us, we met with him, we went through an elaborate discussion, estimates, values, who would get what, how it would be divvied up. That resulted in the airport being very happy with their position on a deal and us being very happy with our position on a deal. A meeting of the minds. We'd still have to go to the legislature to get money. They'd have to go to the FAA to get approval. And that the FAA raised some issues, and that was in the prior federal administration. And those issues were very honestly somewhat specious. I mean, one of the things they said is that this property could be used for VTOL and drone technology. They have even more acreage adjacent to the airport on the north side for that specific purpose. They've been planning for that for some time. And that land doesn't have to have all kinds of issues on what can be taken down or not taken down, and is not tied up for 20, 30 more years. They also said that they thought the $11 million agreed price was too low, even though each party had their own independent appraisers who were looking out for their party, and we came to the resolution of $11 million. But regardless, so that's how that ended. But the negotiations never stopped. We looked at different extended leases. I mean, constantly working with the airport on what we can do to make it work for both the airport and for New College and for the community. And we currently are doing the same thing over again, because with the change of administration became a change of, in essence, let's see what you guys could put together in round two. And so they're doing an appraisal again. We're doing an appraisal again. Everything is just up in the air, speculation talk. What if you did this? What if we did this? Nothing's been resolved, but those appraisals should come back in short order, and hopefully at the February meeting, at the earliest, we could come before you guys with maybe another meeting of the minds that is going to be looked upon favorably in Washington. But that would be the earliest we would bring it, and we'll keep you posted on it. But we feel very favorably that this issue will be resolved in the favor of the airport, in the favor of the college, and in favor of the community. It's just the right thing to do. It makes sense.
Madam Chair, if I could add.
Thank you.
It's my understanding that the FAA is aware of the appraisal process that we are currently engaged in, and it is a process that they have outlined.
Good.
Okay, and I see Ms. Baldonado, your hand has been up.
Thank you. On the note of the airport land, could I confirm that we have about 30 years left on that leased property?
I think it was 32 years when I got here, Trustee Baldonado, so it's 30 or 29.
Very close to
And what are the plans for construction on that specific lease property?
The plans for what we would do with the airport property? That's in the master plan if you look at the East Campus.
What specific, could you remind again what is the construction that will take place on that property, please?
What exactly is on?
I couldn't hear you, Trustee Baldonado. The what level?
Could you please explain again what specifically will be constructed on that property?
You want to have the architect go through the East Campus?
Madam Chair, may I be recognized, please?
Yes.
I feel like we have a motion to vote on the master plan. I have the benefit of living in Sarasota, and I'm frequently on the campus. I feel the plan was very well thought out, extremely well thought out. And I was wondering if it's appropriate. Now we're off onto the airport. It's obvious in the plan what's on the airport, what's being built. If you read the plan and you visit the site, is it appropriate to call the question and have our vote?
Yes.
He can make that motion.
You can make that motion.
All right. I make a motion, we call the question.
And it does require a second.
Second.
Thank you.
It's not debatable, 2/3.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? None? Okay. All those in
Thank you for recognizing me.
Thank you. All
Madam
those
Chair.
in favor of approval of the 2025 Campus Master Plan?
Questions?
Been called. Okay, let's take a vote. Okay. All in favor of the motion? Aye.
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 Okay. Anybody opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion carries. Okay.
Business.
No further business being before this board. I hereby declared us and thee adjourned. Happy holidays, everybody. Happy New Year. Thank you. Thank you, thank you for all of your support and attention to detail and to making this place better and better every day. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you all.